human planet, not even a divine sphere that hadn't been tainted with sin and rebellion. These worlds are in the spiritual circuits of the realm and enjoy all the privileges and of the universe broadcast. The universe broadcast and the vast super universe reflectivity thing. All of it. And so therefore they're guiding conscience. Just as you peruse today's paper or the latest headline or the latest news program from the universe. But this is a cosmic prison world and a mental institution. It's blocked off from that. You know? Mm-hmm. Beings from higher up don't even want to come down here to deal with me. That's how rebellious. They don't even want to. Yet the number one thing for higher beings, the greatest delight, is to help those just behind and lay out a hand to help out. But they don't want to come here. And they're in no jeopardy coming here, because that's another one of the things. They come as themselves. Remember, spiritual beings work with and through humans, but not as them. That's very important for you to know that. Only incarnation is where you're literally one, and incarnation is reserved only for very high beings. And the reason is a safeguard, because any high superior being who isn't properly trained and knows can get stuck there and can get caught there. So you understand why that. So this is good. Mm-hmm. And go forward and everything like that. But it's lighting fires in your soul and in your heart. When you walked into my life, I gave you a book, and it's books and just words and everything, but you've got a fire in your heart, Michael. You've got a fire in your heart because you did the hardest thing. Whether you succeeded or not, and you will eventually succeed. Diet, as I told you, is really number one. Mm-hmm. Because it's all in. All the New Age is talking about, all the beings are talking about mind, body, spirit, unity, unified. Any one out of place and everything like that, it's not workable. And that's the way it's always been in the world. Either people get spiritually so spiritual they become flighty, or they're intellectually, and they're so intellectual, genius, and that's it. They're shooting from the head, and physically. So it's got to be all unified. If any one's out, you're not going to do it. And the book does that. It unifies, coordinates, synthesizes all of everything, not only of the world, but the future world and everything. It is origin, history, and destiny. And it lets you know, and it gives you a foundation to start right there. And when you close that last page in that book, you can sigh a sigh of relief and say, I really am free. I'm free to be, and I'm free to be creative and everything like that. And there's only one qualifier, what I told you about that. Okay? And that is that you are free to do anything in the vastness that you can conjure up in your visualize in your mind, with one qualifier. As long as it's not detrimental or an infringement on your fellow man or yourself. Virtually everything that human beings do and free willingly choose to do on their own is an infringement on society, but most of all, it's an infringement on yourself. All the pleasures and joys of this world have a downside, and that's the infliction. And it starts controlling you. That's what addiction is. Be it alcohol, gambling, all the vices and everything like that. And everybody's afflicted on this world. Mm-hmm. Addicted and afflicted at something. So this is good, and you go with this, but understand, I'm not here to do the lecture circuit and everything like that. It's already been done. Jesus of Nazareth walked his life, and they put him on. They killed him. The Son of God was here already 2,000 years ago, and his life was cut short by not even a human. They put him on a cross. Okay. Mm-hmm. And history has followed him. Anytime somebody do, your Martin Luther Kings, your Bobby Kennedy, your John F. Kennedys. Do I need to go on and on and on? Everybody who tried to change the world for the better, stoned or something like that. So fire in the heart, and here it is: the youth of the universe, the youth of the world is gonna do it, and this is it. This is it.
That's great.
And you, But the generations, they're woken up now. You can't help it,
Right.
Gunfire, going to class and gunfire, that's a pretty big eye-opener. That's what it takes on this world. And the youth are getting to it because they're acting upon it. Now, at youth. Not when they're 35, 40, 45, 50, now. Action. No more words. Action. 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 All the words have been said, okay? Words have potency, but only if they light a fire in your heart. But you know, the Master wrote it on everybody's heart. That's why he didn't establish a religion and didn't leave any writings or anything down, a list of commandments, a list of don't do's and everything like that. Throw it all out. All things, write this on your heart, but all things have value only to the degree that they bring man closer to God and God closer to man. It has value. If it doesn't, then it's just relative value, or transient too. But all things have permanent value to that degree. If it's a book, fine. If it's a religion, fine. Then we give credence to it and everything. If it did indeed change the life and change a person and bring a person around, it's that. But it's only a stepping stone. The world needs the book. It is the fifth, only the fifth, not 105th or 105th. Only 5 epochal revelation. The word epochal means for all. That's every race, creed, color, you name it, for all. And it doesn't do any injustice to anybody or disparage anybody in the book, as you well know. It points out the shortcomings of it and the flaws, but it always ends with, it's good. It always gives credit with, right?
Yeah.
And you've read it. But more importantly, it answers the those 3 most important questions. And it answers succinctly, not simply because it's a big long book, but it certainly answers with them, where nobody who reads it will walk away and not think. And if you do, you're lost. You were lost at the beginning. The book has got to change your heart, your attitude, outlook, every aspect about you. Anyone who has embraced it, it does. And you can't, and remember what I told you, Michael, the book is not something you read and think that, oh, well, this and that, and you put it on the shelf to collect out. It's to be a lifelong. I took this human, and every year, twice a year, maybe even sometimes 3 times a year, it went from cover to cover. Because I told you why that is. There are things in there at 20 that when you mature and you live another 20 years will fall into place. Mm-hmm. See, the book was ordained that way. You know, and every time you do that. Okay, and you need no other book. And in fact, that's it. After this book, the world, here's where the cultural lag is. We're beyond books. We're beyond the printed word. We're in a technological age.
Right.
And that's all right. But man misuses and abuses man. He's got his head in the screen. He's buried in the screen. You know? He doesn't know how to use anything that's given to him wrongly. Do you really think the purpose for an AK 47 rifle was to take out an individual, to take out students? You know, misuse and abuse. It's not the thing itself, but you know. Oh, it's important that I know is that on advanced world, we don't have any guns. Okay, simple and sweet. You want a little truth? Okay, here it is. Guns are weapons of destruction. That's a blanket statement. It's an absolute statement. It's not a... Even if you use it for target practice, you destroy the target. Mm-hmm. Not to mention it's a loud, boisterous noise or anything like that. So there's no good for a gun, okay? Mm-hmm. We understand why it is and all this, that, and everything, but we don't have any guns on advanced human planets, and certainly there are no guns in heavenly spheres. So guess what? For all the people who are gun advocates and want guns, okay? And guns are primitive, animalistic, and uncivilized. It's not the way to resolve anything. Dialogue. Sit down and talk to your brother and sister. Okay? And we have on this planet people, all, remember, are mentally insane and distorted. Those people, listen, it's like the diet. Prevention is the cure. Key word, prevention. Prevention means beforehand. We nip it in the bud. There are beings on this planet, and that's, remember, the second most important mandate for this planet is that no advanced civilization can advance very far unless they address the population control. Not only the numbers, but quality of the species. Read your paper, what quality of the species is, and you don't have to go any further than your own nose, the quality of the species. I'm a product of the influences of this world out there, and I know the rock cut that enters the mind and the things like that. You got to get that out, wipe that out of there, get divine, get spiritual to get that out of there and walk in that on this planet. And it's a constant task. It's not something you figure you did it and this and that and you can walk into the world. No, it's everywhere, in everyone. Even in your loved ones and your friends are the biggest setback for you growth to higher conscious, because they don't understand, they got to be reborn, that change of heart. Little, it's